Evening everybody, welcome to tonight's live with Apify. We'll be getting going in just a minute. There we go. Mouse. So good evening everyone, welcome to tonight's live. I am flying solo tonight. Carl is on a plane, heading back to the Emerald Isle of Ireland. And Max is at a family do. So I am solo, left with instructions. So we will get going in a moment. Oh, there's quite a few in actually, we'll get going pretty quick. If I can find my mouse. So tonight's topics are, we're going to be talking broadly about, I'll introduce who Apify are, I'll introduce who I am, I'll explain a little bit more about what we're doing tonight. But tonight's topic is going to be very business orientated around a business model, lean and agile models to help basically grow a business. Apify is an app development company based in Ireland. My name's Chris Williams. I am a non-exec. I don't work in the business day to day, but I co-own it with Carl, who's the CEO. I run Nova Strategy and Consulting, which is our consultancy business. We consult around digital and transformation. We go live every week to effectively help people to take their ideas from concept to cash, from zero to hero, basically sharing our experiences. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm just going to get my mouse sorted out, get my screen set up, get the Q&A stuff all in place. So just bear with me. Feel free to ask them, Chris, what do you mean by lean and agile models to help businesses? I'll come to that. So lean and agile are principles. Lean was developed way back in the 1950s by Toyota and is a model which is all about iterations, doing things in an iterative fashion. I'll explain it much better in a bit. Agile was formed in the 80s around software development, but businesses need to adopt a way to do things these days, or they do things in a very particular way. Mouse. I can actually use my stuff now. And the way that businesses operate today, or the way they organise themselves, is so that they can move quickly. If you think about the world we exist in today, it's all about developing product quickly, getting your minimum viable product to market and scaling. What's the quickest route to the cash? You know, a definition of the business is a commercially profitable enterprise. How do you do that? So that's where Lean and Agile comes into this. So what organisations do I consult with? Typically financial services, although been in other environments, and usually it's around what we call digital transformation. So these would be large organisations trying to digitise things, and so that's typically where I would consult in the vast majority of cases, 99% of the time in truth. What specific organisations? I cannot give you the names of them. There's something called non-disclosure agreements where they wouldn't allow me to go into too much detail, but if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll probably get a feel by some of the comments that people make on my thing as to who they are specifically within reason. But I can't share commercially sensitive stuff like that, I'm afraid. But if you go to the website and stuff like that, you'll get a feel for it. So let's get some of this stuff up and running. How would you expand and help your small business grow? Not see much expansions or improvement. I'm not sure I follow that question. When you say you expand and help your small business grow, do you mean my businesses grow, or do you mean how would I suggest to help others? Try and elaborate on that and contextualise it a little bit for me, my friend, and I'll see if I can help. Come on, mouse, work. There we go. Max. So welcome. I'm just getting set up. It won't be a second. Oh no, that's not that. That's that one. Chris. Okay, cool. So, welcome to tonight's live. My name's Chris. This is Apify's account, Apify Digital. I'm one of the co-founders, co-owners of Apify. I'm usually joined by Carl Mulligan, our CEO, but he's currently on a plane on his way back to Ireland, and Max. I don't work in the business day to day. I run Novus, which is our consultancy business. But each week we go live to help people, yourselves, to... What's that one? I've got no idea what you mean, Stella. I'll come back to that if you're asking me questions and other stuff. But anyway, we go live every week. Usually the guys are here. There's a moderator in, Kirsty's moderating, so she'll pick up some of your questions and make sure we pick them up. But each week we go live to help people with their ideas from concept to cash. Tonight we're going to be talking about lean and agile principles, but specifically I'm going to overlay it onto in the business setting. The relevance of this is to help people who are either they've got an existing technology product and they're perhaps just starting out and they're trying to scale and grow. It's also to help people that perhaps have got an idea, considering that entrepreneurial journey, perhaps maybe raising some money and going to start a business. This is going to help you to how do you formulate that business operating structure to give you the best possible advantages in terms of scaling and growing it. So we're going to talk about this stuff. Now, for those of you that are kind of agile or lean gurus, I'm not going to get into from a lean standpoint, Six Sigma sort of stuff. From an agile standpoint, I'm not going to get into debates around what's the best agile methodologies. From a software development standpoint, I'm here to help people get a basic level of understanding and learn how to leverage that to help them build their businesses. So welcome, that's our topic for tonight. We will get kickstarted straight away. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them. We always get trolls in the live, so don't worry about any of that. None of it will be responded to or anything like that. Just ask your questions that are relevant to this and we'll answer them. Don't worry about getting involved in debate. So let's kickstart around agile and lean methods. What are they? What are they about? And why do they matter specifically in today's modern world? Well, firstly, we've got to go back to how businesses used to be ran. So organisations typically would have a very hierarchical structure, and in fact, lots still do today. But the way that businesses very much used to be run was that organisations would have a series of management, a series of processes and a series of systems, and everybody would effectively be trained to follow a particular process or procedure and never really ask any sort of questions or be empowered to do anything. Things would be delivered in silos. And that's not necessarily an efficient and effective way to deliver an end result as quickly as possible. So the other thing is that in kind of the olden era, so what I mean by that is the industrial age. The industrial age was very much about you go to work, you bang a nail in that hole and that's it, that's kind of the job. Whereas in the digital age, we need to have what we call cross-functional capabilities, which means that we have multi-talented, multi-skilled people from different types of environments from across an organisation, sales, marketing, accounts, technology, all working collaboratively together to deliver an end result. We also work in very complex environments now where projects are, and the world has changed. So before we get into the project side of it, it's important to understand, in my opinion, very much so, that all businesses today are technology businesses. Every company, no matter its size, shape, it's a tech business. You know, it is underpinned by technology in some way. A law firm is a tech company that provides legal services. Accountancy is an accountancy firm that provides legal services. A healthcare provider is a tech company that provides healthcare. Technology sits across everything. So it's really important for businesses to understand that. But the way that we build technology in the modern world today, and this has evolved over time, is not in a waterfall fashion. So waterfall production of, say, a piece of software is very much based around a cascading model. So we've got an idea, we work out all the moving parts that are going to make that idea come together, we size it all up, we measure it, we estimate it, and then we go building it, and then at the end we deliver this big thing and we say, bang, there you go, we've built it. Software can be built like that, but if you could imagine you've got this idea, and you'll have seen videos on this platform where you got people like Chinese whispers, you get a line of 10 people, and you kind of say, give the first person a set of instructions and ask them to repeat it to the next person and the next person. And by it gets to the 10th person, the kind of stories change. Well, software development can be like that. So if you can imagine that those 10 people all represented a month. In month 10, when the customer got the piece of software, it was like, well, I didn't ask for it to be blue. I asked for it to be purple. And this button was supposed to be there and not there, and so on and so forth. So agile and lean ways of working is all about efficiency, and ultimately about enabling a group of people to build software. That's going to be annoying, sorry. To build software in an iterative fashion. So each of those 10 people would be classed as an iteration. Okay, so the first iteration is like, well, we want this, right? Let's do that. Is that what you want? Yeah, right. The next iteration. And so it's really important to work that way, but that's the kind of the base level of it. The next part of this is to then start to think about it in the context of, well, how does my business need to operate like that? So if we think about setting goals, all businesses set goals and objectives from, typically they'd have a 3-year plan of some sort. They would have revenue we're going to deliver over this next 12 months. And if you think about it in a personal context as well, imagine that on New Year's Eve, you write down all your New Year's resolutions. Most people are writing, I want to earn more money and I want to have, I want to lose some weight. How do we make that happen? We've got to have a series of goals. Well, most people work in a very waterfall way. They set the goal and then that's it. But you can't just set the goal. We've got to break it down into small chunks of effort, and then work out what effort have I got to take to deliver that small chunk goal. So if we took making money as an example, because it's just something everybody can relate to. If we said that we want to make £120,000, well, that's £10,000 per month. So what's it going to take to get to that 120? Because in month 1, in the first 4 weeks, we're not going to make 10 grand, are we? Because we're just starting. What have we got to do? And so that's what we mean by breaking stuff down. And this is where business, small businesses especially, those that are kind of starting to build their businesses, they've got to kind of start to think this way. And you've got to think about agile practices. And so agile practices are really good to understand, not just from a software development standpoint, but those same methods are spread across the business. So when I've started businesses before, and I've started a few of them, some have gone all right, some have not done so well. But ultimately, it's all about trying to fail as quickly as possible, because that's the least waste. So if we go back to the making money example again, we've worked out that we want to make 120k, which works out to be roughly £10,000 a month over 12 months. But in month 1, we know that that's not going to be the effort. We're not going to have the product launched in month 1. We've got to get customers, etc., etc. So what do we do? Well, we start to work out all the things that we need to do in order to get to where it is that we want to get to, and break that down into simple, easy, actionable steps. So I'll give you an example. Inside this business particularly, we have sales targets, and those sales targets, we are measuring each month how close we're getting to them. But what are we measuring on a day-to-day basis? We're measuring how many leads we've got in, how many we've spoken to, how many converted into workshops, and then how many converted from workshops into presentations. These are called lead and lag indicators. They're the things that we're starting to measure. And this is what's important to understand in an agile environment. When you're running a business, you've got to do those sorts of things. And so when we're developing applications for customers, we've got to take them on that agile journey, because most customers, most businesses come to us with this great idea and they say, right, we want to build this application, this great big wonderful thing. And we say, well, that's probably going to take like 9 months to deliver all of that. What could we get out in, say, 3 months or 2 months? Let's test that hypothesis, let's get that into the market. And that's the big takeaway that I want people to ideally sort of take from this type of a session, is to think about, okay, if I've got an existing app project, I've got an existing technology product, maybe you've got something in development, or maybe you're thinking about building something, is to think, do you know what, I should be taking an agile approach to this. I don't want to go and spend £500,000 or £100,000 or even £5,000 on something and then just release it without knowing that the market can accept it. I need to understand, what is it that I've got to measure? What does success look like? What's going to retain users? You've got to do that bit of research and literally kind of get to it. So they're the things, they're the important things to, I guess, to understand around that. So there's a few questions that were presented to me that I'll talk through now and start to answer. If there's any specifically, I'll just scroll through here, see if you guys have got anything that's worked here. Not really. Millions of ideas stuck and don't know where or when to steer. Okay, let's just tune into that for a second. Oh, hang on. Okay, and then there's a painting question there as well. I'll touch on that. But don't know how to put it together. Okay, right, let me just take a note of a few of these so I don't forget them. So let me just turn to the patent question for a second. Look, if you're going to patent a piece of technology, you need to get a patent lawyer. You know, I mean, it is as simple as that. That's how you go about doing it. And whichever jurisdiction for which you reside, you know, wherever you are in the world, you just need to Google it and go and find a patent lawyer. You know, I can't give you legal advice around that, nor would I try to, but that's what you need to do. It's a good question though, in the context of when you're developing software. How do you know you've got if you hire a software company, you need to make sure that what they're building, you own the intellectual property to. And the only way that you can guarantee that is by ensuring that contractually you do. So that's important. So I'm just going to get some of these questions down. People on TT promising to make money. What was the other one? Lots of ideas, don't know which one to go with. Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timed. Yeah, there's lots of different kind of models that you can utilize. Okay, let's see if we've got anything. Oops. Build mobile. Do we do non-profit apps? Yes. Yes, it is a birthmark, yeah. Right, okay. Cool, right, we've got a few decent questions there. So I'm going to start to answer some of these, and I've got these ones here that were pre-prepped that were sent to me. So, look, there are lots of people on TikTok that are probably promising to make money. That's not what we do each week. We're not here to promise you anything of the sort, but it's an important thing to raise, because I think there's a lot of perhaps maybe younger people especially out there. Well, look, let's not make it age specific. There's lots of people out there that are motivated to want to do better for themselves and go and make some money. And there are lots of people that are looking for a short circuit to go and make that happen. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but there isn't a short circuit. It takes bloody hard work, and you just need to get out there and do it. One thing I would share with you is that I've been both reasonably successful at times, and I've also failed. You know, I've lost everything. I've had failed businesses. I've cocked things up massively, and it's cost me because I took risks that I shouldn't have taken, or got involved with the wrong people, whatever. But when you're in business, you have to accept that it's all your fault. Okay, you don't go around blaming people. And the relevance of this is you can't come onto TikTok or any other social media channel and think that some guy or girl or whatever people identify as these bloody days is kind of going to give you a sprinkling of magic dust that's going to make you, earn a load of money. And 99% of you kind of get that, but there's probably a high percentage of you that don't really want to hear it. But the truth is, if you want to go out and make some money, the world that we live in today has an abundance of opportunities. Each year, the opportunities get bigger and better. The world we live in today is far better than the world that we lived in 30 years ago. That's just a fact. It's reality. So, get out there and make it happen. For those of you that have got lots of ideas, but you don't know which one to go with, well, that's fantastic that you've got lots of ideas. That means that you're creative. But you've got to start to find a way of trying stuff out and getting focused. I'll be very honest with you. I struggle to focus sometimes. I'm one of these people with lots of ideas, but over the years, I've kind of learned to work out where I'm good. I'm good at starting things. I'm good at getting things going. I get really energized about it, but then very quickly I need to start to bring in people that are better than me, that are amazing at the day-to-day, that can carry that energy on and get things done. And when they don't start to get things done, that's what frustrates me. So you've got to kind of you've got to test your ideas. Is the big takeaway here, but you've got to somehow work out, well, what's a good one? And they won't all be amazing. There'll be one or two sort of nuggets there. So you've got to try stuff. If you've got an idea, give it a go, get up off your bum and get out there and make it happen. And for those of you that think, well, I don't know what to do, well, that's the whole point of learning is That's the whole point of learning. You've got to get out there and work it out. And when you go and work it out, that's when the learning begins. That's when you step outside that comfort zone. That's when things really start to get interesting, and you start to make something of yourself. And you're not going to have all the answers. Nobody does. But what's the great thing about today is you can Google stuff and work it out. So if you've got an idea, there'll be 1,000,001 people that will try to help you with that idea. And just go and, ask for help from people, but do the graft, do the work. Over the years that I've been doing the TikTok thing, I've got my own personal account, as well as this live that we're on now. I've spoken to so many people who've said to me that they're passionate about this, that and the other. And when it kind of really comes to the nitty gritty, they're just lazy. They're not willing to put in the effort. And then when you kind of spend a bit of time and energy and put time in it, and I've done it with quite a few people, I just began to realise that actually, and this is why there's so much opportunity out there, 99% of people just are not willing to do what it takes to go out there, make something of themselves and make the money. So some people want to, but no, not many people are willing to put the effort in. So that's why there's lots of opportunity for those of us that are willing to put the effort in. So there is no get rich quick schemes. You just got to put it in, stay true to yourself and get out there and get it done. There's lots of young folk on this platform that are genuinely doing that. I follow a couple of them and I'm suitably impressed by them. So if they can do it, you can do it. If I can do something, you can too. So those lots of ideas, let me give you something to work with. Boil them down into something that actually, do you know what, I want to give this one a go. How can you do that? Just start to create a little bit of a matrix of some sort, and I'll give you a couple of examples in a second. But the key question to ask is, what's the quickest route to the cash? Because these things have got to make you some money, and how can you get that? How do you get there and do that? So one little thing that you can do, we talk about this all the time, is to go out with your idea and go and talk to a few people and validate it. Here's a couple of books that would be good for you. The Lean Startup, go and read that. That talks about how to validate ideas. Just start there. I don't want to give you too much. Start there. That'll help you. So, a few questions done there. Next set of questions. How do I apply the ideas of being lean and agile to my mobile app development process, my business today and in the long run? That's a good question. It's a bloody long one and I'm going to have to break it down, but it's a good one. So, how do you apply the ideas of lean and agile to your mobile app development? If you are building a technology product, there are only going to be a number of approaches to or ways of getting your technology product built and then to market. One is you're going to hire an external company to do it. Two, you're going to have maybe got hold of some money and start to hire people to help you do it. Or three, a kind of hybrid of the two. You're going to hire some people and they're then going to go and hire an external company to come and help you. You've got to ensure that if you have never built software before, that you've got the right people around you. So with option one, which is you're kind of independent, you've got the money, whether it's been invested in you, it's your own cash, you've got to go and select a company to work with to go and build this thing. You must you have to ensure that you go through a process of elimination, get at least 4 or 5 companies and do a bit of a beauty parade. But you've got to ask some very key, important questions, and you need to understand, this is really important, this now. There are lots of businesses out there that will claim to be able to develop something for you, but they won't follow a decent enough process that ensures that you've got the right architecture, infrastructure, scalable and scalability to go from, concept to cash. The foundation is critically important. So how do you go about identifying who's the right company? First and foremost, you need to be asking them what's their approach to software development. You want them to present that to you, get it recorded, get some consultants, get some help around. If you've been invested in this, get some right people around you who really understand this stuff. They've demonstrably built software before. They need to understand agile principles and help you on that journey. The way that they actually go and architect the software, you need to understand, if they can do that properly. So if you don't know these things, it's critically important that you get a bit of help and hire a company that can sort of take you on that journey. The way to identify whether or not a company knows what it's on about is to talk to its customers. Go and find customers that have gone through the process, gone through the journey. Ideally, they're quite mature businesses that they've worked with. They may not have been mature when they first started. They might be 3 or 4 years into their development journey, but 3 or 4 years as a start, that's not massively mature. But at that point, between 3 and 5 years, you should be hitting the scale-up phase. It's sooner in today's age. They would know. They know what they're doing. They helped us on the agile journey. They've got good technology people. They consulted perfectly about what cloud environments our software should be in, how we should be scaling it. They've got good engineering teams. We didn't get buggy products all the time, all that kind of stuff. You've got to do due diligence. So if you're going to go and hire a company, ask the right set of questions. And I'm quite happy for us. We've done a live once before on this, so we can repeat it again. I get the guys to do this, where we share, what the sorts of questions that you should be asking organisations. So that's the first thing. If you're going to go and hire your own team, you absolutely need to ensure that you follow the same process, that you're hiring, a CTO, somebody that has built teams before or gone and hired external companies. You need to get somebody like that around you as quickly as possible, who knows what they're doing. Now, and if you're kind of doing this all from scratch and bootstrapping it, which is a great way to do it, by the way, then it's on you. You've got to go and learn about this stuff, and there's so many resources out there that you can go and learn about this on the internet and whatever else. So that's the first thing. Applying those ideas to the software development process is critically important. And as you're applying those ideas, the lean principle and agile principles, you'll start to realise that actually I need to start marketing my app. So when I've got ideas for marketing, you can test those ideas, and that's how I'd suggest progressing that and moving it forward. Let me answer some of these other questions. So no. The Agile Mobile Development Press. Let me see if there's some other questions on here, and then I'll move into some other questions that have also been sent in. Some of these that are in different languages, I can't understand them, sorry. Failed to see how validating ideas is the quickest route to the cache. That's a good comment. That's a very good question. It's that I like that one. We'll debate that. You need direction, but hard to come by. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit. Okay, let's talk about validating and quickest route to the cash. So, if you've got an idea and you don't validate that hypothesis as quickly as possible, okay, you are burning money. Time is money, okay? So if we think, I'm just trying to kind of do this, it's usually I would be physical with people and we'd use I'd use poker chips to do this, so I could demonstrate what it is. But so bear with me. If you can imagine that we need to go from that side of this piece of paper to this side of this piece of paper, that's what you've got to do. On the left hand side is 0, and on the right hand side is cash. So what's the quickest route to the cash? You don't know, because literally I've done this, you've not seen anything else. There are obstacles along the way, lots of them. So if we're going to go from A to B on this piece of paper, the idea of validated learning and you taking incremental steps is that for every step that you take, there's a cost to that step. So if I say, okay, from 0, I want you to move 2 steps forward, 3 steps to the left, and 4 steps further forward. Okay, 3 moves. That's what I've asked you to do. In those for every move that you make, you're spending £20,000. So it's going to cost £60,000 to do those 3 moves. After the 3rd move, we're going to validate how far we've got. Bear in mind that we don't know what's in front of us. We're just going to go. So 60k. Now, all of a sudden, after step 1, you get blocked. Something happens, metaphorically speaking. Let's put that into context from a software development perspective. You decided that you were going to build this fantastic application with 27 different sets of features, and you've got to the first part, the first hurdle, and something's not quite right, but you've just thought, well, it'll be all right, we'll just carry on building. We get all the way to the £60,000 spend bit, and again, we look at it, and we've already, all of a sudden, we see that we've got a problem. What's the problem? Transpires that Apple won't accept this application in this format for XYZ reason. You're shitting me. The whole architecture's been built on this. We've just spent 60,000 quid. Okay, imagine if we'd have got to the end ready to release, and we've only made 3 steps, and there's 100 steps to get to the end. This is why, what's the quickest route to the cash? Well, you need to validate, because you're burning cash as you're going on the journey. So every penny that you spend, you need to make sure that at some point it's adding value to you and your organisation. I hope this is making sense. So now if we go back, rather than me doing the 3 steps, we're going to do 1 step at a time. In software development, we call that a sprint. So we're going to set a goal. That goal is going to take us closer to the main objective, and we're going to learn as we go. That's the way to do it. That is the quickest route to the cash, because you will get there quicker because you're more agile, you can ebb and flow and move around, number 1. Number 2, you're burning less cash. If you're burning less cash, that means you've got more cash to acquire users somewhere down the line. That's why it's the quickest route to the cash. Now, in a physical environment, the way that we would demonstrate this, big shout out to Michael Lambert, who actually showed me this, is that we do coin turning. And what I do is, if you're ever in a group of any of you that are students or even just a group of grown-ups kind of sort of sat together, non-students, get some poker chips, yeah? And, you know, poker chips is ideal, different colours, we glue them together, and we literally say, right, if there's 5 of you in a line, we're going to time you on getting those 10 chips. You've got to take 10 chips, turn each chip over, and then pass it down the line. Okay, when it gets to the end, that represents the software delivery being finished, the first point of value. Time how long it takes each person to turn them over. So that's 5 times. So person 1, how long did it take them? Person 2, and then time how long the overall thing take. Then do this, repeat the exercise, but break it down into, you turn 5, pass it on. Then break it down into 2 chips, 2 and pass it on, 2, pass it on, 2, pass it on, 2, pass it on. See how quickly the value gets delivered at the end. That's why you do it in an agile way. I'm going to try and do a recording of this exercise. This is what we do when consulting with people, to big companies, to fucking help them realise this is how you deliver things quickly. It's such a great way to do it. But anyway, that's why validating is the quickest route to the cash. In not just in my view, it's proven. What else have we got? Okay, I don't think I've missed anything else. Yeah, don't worry about the trolls. Right, okay, cool. So next question was, yeah, which is the MVPs again. We've talked about MVPs every week. Are there any drawbacks to using Lean and Agile principles? I don't think there are drawbacks, in my opinion. No, I personally just don't see any drawbacks. There's all positives for me. A lot of people often ask us about money and cost. Let's apply Lean and Agile methods as well. Yeah, no, that's not going to work. Okay. So in terms of spending money, so this question is all about how can utilising these methods save you money in the long run. It's not necessarily going to save you money, it's going to stop you, well, I guess it will. It's going to stop you wasting money. So the best way I can start to describe this, and those of you that are just joining, welcome. My name's Chris. This is Appify's Weekly Live. I'm one of the co-owners of Appify. I run our consultancy business, which is called Novus. I'm usually joined by my colleagues each week, but one of them's out and about and the other one's on a flight on his way back to, in fact, he's probably back in Ireland now. So hello, Carl, if you're watching. And each week Appify is a software development company, specifically helps people and businesses build mobile apps, and we go live each week, ultimately with the goal of sharing our experience and knowledge of building software products and helping people take them to market, scale them. So this week we're talking about what Lean and Agile is and how you can apply that in the business setting to help you take your idea from concept to cash. And one of the questions that's been posed is all about how using these principles can save you money. Now, the first thing I'd like to do is say it's really important to understand that there are 3 types of business value. In my view, there's only 3 types of business value you can categorize. Number 1, you're building a piece of software to save money in a business setting. That's value number 1. Value number 2 is we're building something because it's going to protect revenue, i.e. we've got an existing business. There's this competitive landscape out there. If we don't build this we don't do this, we're going to lose competitive advantage. Someone's going to come and eat our lunch. Second type of business value is to protect revenue. So make money. So we're going to build something new and it's going to make us new revenue. 2, it's going to protect revenue. Or 3, it's an efficiency. We're going to develop a piece of software because it's going to deliver efficiency into our business, which means it's going to save us money, which means that our margin is going to increase, and that's good for the business. Great. Now this can be applied in any type of business setting, but they're the 3 types of business value. This is why Lean and Agile principles are really important in business today, in the way that we operate today, is because if you're utilising and leveraging these principles against those 3 types of business value, you can ensure that you are spending each of your pounds, dollars, euros, whatever, and ensuring that you're delivering best value back. Now, you don't always know if something's going to work, which is why we want to validate things. Mini experiments used to be a buzz phrase years ago as digital transformation came on. So you fail fast, fail forward. And it's true, there is going to be failures. The famous thing about Edison and the light bulb, whatever, how many times did he fail before it actually got there? But each of these failings costs, so it's best to fail quickly so that So this is why those principles can ultimately help you save money. But the big takeaway in all of that is that business value. Think about that carefully when you're looking at your idea. What business value does this present? We mentioned this last week, and this should help you when you're pitching your ideas as well. Try to use a framework. I love SPIN. SPIN stands for situation, problem, implication, need. And when you utilize that framework, it should really help you present your idea, present your hypothesis. This is the situation. This is the problem that exists. And by having this problem, here's the implication. So the need is XYZ, your solution. If you think about things in that way, against the backdrop of those 3 business values, clarity, that's how lean and agile thinking and ways of working really helps. So I'm going to answer a few more questions if there's any there. What does it mean to you consumers, non-business owners? To be honest, probably not a huge amount. Well, no, actually. Okay, in the context of your question, you're saying a consumer. Fine. So from a consumer point of view, probably not a lot. But one thing I would invite all of you to do is that whatever you do right now as a job, if you're not a business owner, fine. But if you're in a job, you're employed by somebody, you've got to deliver value to that business. It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, and artificial intelligence and all these other things and all this scaremongering about it's going to come and take your job. It's going to take some jobs. So if you can understand these ways of working, because that's what they are, and you understand these principles, you become much more valuable in the company that you're in. And I don't care what job you do, you know, you could be an electrician, a forklift truck driver, a lorry driver, a pilot, whatever. You know, if you understand these principles, you can apply them within the setting for which you deliver value in exchange for receiving a weekly, monthly, annual salary. So it's relevant if you can think about it in that way, in my opinion. But, you know, we're talking about it in the context of businesses, but you can learn a lot. The things that I'm talking about genuinely could help people, especially advance their careers. Appify is a app development company. Someone's put that I'm not affected by any of the comments. Like, don't worry. Like, trust me. I'm like 43 years old. I've heard a lot worse. If we've got people in here that are saying things about me, that's completely fine by me. And I'll tell you why it's fine. Because it's water off a duck's back. I don't give 2 hoots. And if they're in here, they're not hurting anybody else who perhaps a little bit more vulnerable. So you don't need to worry about me. Right, a few more questions and then we're going to call it a day. You're very welcome for the explanation. I was late 5 times to my old job. I think you're trying to say it's that bad. If you're asking me if that's bad, then my friend, yeah, it is bad. Right, I don't think there's anything more there. Cool. Thoughts on AppSumo products? Fine, it's low code, no code. I think if it's the same company, I think it is. I think utilising those platforms, especially to get like a proof of concepts out there, even an MVP in some instances. So just for those who don't know, there are different ways you can go about kind of getting your application live. You can go and hire a company, hire a bunch of developers. That's going to be more expensive. You can use artificial intelligence, AI, to build this sort of stuff now. You've got to be careful with some of that. Or you can use platforms, literally go online, and you can kind of build your own drag and drop. Now, the benefit of that is that you can get something to the market quick. You can test it. Great. The non-benefit means sometimes you don't necessarily own the intellectual property. You don't necessarily own the IP, i.e. the actual code that's in the background. If you're building a software product, especially if it's for software as a service, the value is in the IP and the residual revenue that you generate. And so it's important that you own that in some way, ideally. But that's not to say that these platforms can't work. I mean, I'm consulting on a project at the moment whereby we're that's part of the thing that we've got to review. Do we buy it? Do we partner with somebody, or do we build it from scratch? And so building from scratch is beneficial because you own the IP, but sometimes if you need to quickly get into the market, it's a competitive landscape, sometimes it's not always the best route. So, I think those products are completely fine. It's actually dependent on the project itself. So I would recommend them in certain situations. Have we got anything else? I'm just checking if I've missed anything of... Someone's asked why there's so many trolls. Look, it's quite interesting. Let's talk about this for that. I mean, I won't normally do it. I'd normally do it on my personal account rather than a company one, but screw it. Look, what's interesting about platforms like this is you've got to think about it a little bit. And what's interesting is the people that make a lot of noise are a small group of people. They're not a big group of people. So there's 401 people on here, but there's not 401 comments like every second or every minute of hate speech or somebody saying something inappropriate or whatever. That's just not happening. It's a small group of people. And so when you've got a small group of people that make a lot of noise, that's just typically all it is. A small group of people making a lot of noise. The majority of us are too busy getting on. And so, the world isn't full of horrible people. The vast majority of people are all right. It's just that usually you find that dickheads are quite noisy because they need attention, because there's things that are missing out of their life that are not fulfilling, where the rest of us are just kind of getting on. So I mean that in a positive way, perhaps towards people that kind of live in a world of why is everything so mean and nasty? And it's because we're all presented and served up with information that's so extreme. It's one way or the other. Nobody kind of lives in a balanced world. And so it's a choice, a choice to kind of be balanced, a choice to listen, a choice to ignore. And it's an easy choice to make, harder to implement. But after a while, you'll get used to kind of knowing how to kind of get rid of the noise. So that's my invitation to a lot of you, for those of you that kind of get impacted by loud, noisy people. Tune out. It's very easy to do once you get used to it. Right, there was a couple of questions there, and so there's people that are asking sort of costs for applications and things like that. Look, the costs will vary dramatically subject to what it is that you want to do. If you go into our profile, in the link tree, we do have what's called a cost calculator. It's to give you a very rough estimate. It'll ask you a series of questions and it'll give you a rough estimate. If you want to kind of take that rough estimate and say, you know what, I want to know a little bit more about this, just get in touch with the guys, and it'd be probably more likely be Kirsty or Carl or somebody. They'll get in touch with you very quickly, or go onto LinkedIn and connect with them. They're in the LinkedIn, they're in the link tree thing, and they'll get on the phone and set you up in a workshop with developers. They're free. We'll vet that you're genuine. But they'll help you. They'll help you understand how to get a cost in and all that kind of stuff. So there's one other question. You run a VegBox subscription website. Okay, well look, that's absolutely applicable. I think the reason that businesses and consumer businesses like that, I kind of jumping ahead a bit here, but assuming what it is that you do. The reason that the apps are good for organisations like yours is the fact that even though that screen that you see me on right now is probably the smallest real estate in the world, it gets the most attention. It's probably the most valuable. This thing is never more than 10 feet away from us ever. So if you can place an application on that and consistently engage an audience and grow that audience, and it's kind of on that device, that's never more than 10 feet away from them. If you leave the house without your phone, or you've got a choice, you can have your phone or you can have your purse or your wallet. Which one are you going to take? I'll take my phone every day because I can communicate with everyone about Apple Pay. Getting your business on there is a very good idea. It's not for everybody. I'm not saying every business should have an app. No, I don't think necessarily every business should, but there are some businesses that absolutely can leverage them and do incredibly well out of them. So for your business, get in touch with the guys and, they'll have a chat with you and see what they can do to help. And we're not pressure people either. We're here to help. They'll give you some good advice, some good guidance, and then you can go and kind of take that and do a bit of a shopping exercise and talk to a few companies. And if you think, actually, do you know what, this sounds like good, I wouldn't mind giving this a crack, and you can test them and give it a go. So I'd highly recommend it in that regard. A few more questions and then I'm going to wrap for the evening. We're going to come on for an hour. Obviously, you're going to get... Well, yeah, good, excellent. I'm glad you're going to do it. If we can be of any assistance, even if you selected your company, it doesn't matter. We'll help you as best we can. Don't hesitate to reach out. I have emailed you. Please read. Okay, no problem. Cool. I think I have covered everything. Don't like checking out when there's a number of you on, but I need to have my dinner. What's that? Are you in a relationship? Yes, with the person that's moderating. Right. Cool. I think I've covered everything off. Just double check here. Excellent. Cool. Right, that's everything. So I hope you found that useful and insightful. Have a pleasant rest of your evening and enjoy. What's that one, please? Who am I? My name's Chris. I'm a management consultant day to day. You're on Appify's Live, which is a company which I co-own. I also own Novus, which is our management consultancy business. That's who I am and that's what I do. I enjoy technology. Our purpose, our mission is to leave this world in a better place than how we found it through helping great people build amazing products, technology products. That's kind of what we stand for and why we exist. And with that, I'm going to bid you all a very pleasant evening and a lovely weekend when it arrives. If you're in the UK, as I am right now, enjoy this glorious weather. And yes, if you've got any other questions, fire them in onto the chats, or not these chats in the live, but in the TikToks, whatever. Max will pick them up. They'll get to me and others, and we will do our best. Well, we don't do our best. We will reply to all of them. A couple of you said that you've emailed. We'll have a look at those tomorrow on the inboxes, and we will go from there. But for now, have a pleasant weekend. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week, same time, same place. All right. Cheerio.